Building Expectations, Delivering Results is the biannual report on the assets in education field released by the Assets in Education Initiative at the School of Social Welfare at the University of Kansas. Dr. William Elliott, Director of Aedi, discusses the role that asset-building initiatives, specifically children's savings accounts, could play in improving educational outcomes and increasing educational equity, the core themes of the biannual report.
The price of higher education, traditionally understood to be a passport to financial security in the United States, has increased dramatically in recent decades. Higher education financing is shifting from a collectively funded public good to reliance on individual and family contributions. This has implications for education's ability to serve as an equalizing force and lasting repercussions for economic prosperity and mobility in the United States. Asset-based financial aid models offer an alternative to the current debt-dependent frame. While high student loan debt may hinder college completion and even serve as a deterrent to enrollment among some low-income students and students of color, promoting asset development can ultimately reduce the need for loans and independently improve educational outcomes. Limiting the amount of individual borrowing may improve outcomes on several measures critical to long-term U.S. economic success and to the realization of greater equity. Student and family capacity to finance college, student academic preparedness for college, enrollment and graduation among disadvantaged students, educational attainment in college, and financial health for new graduates. Furthermore, asset-based policies such as children's savings accounts, which unlike loans build resources for college before enrollment, have been found to shape students' expectations about their own educational futures, illustrating the transformative power of assets. For all of these reasons, policies that combine smaller student loans with asset-based approaches, including both new savings structure and retooling of existing offerings so that they build on asset accumulation principles and better meet the needs of low-income students, could be a financial aid model that more effectively builds college readiness among low-income students, improves their access to college, and increases their chances of success in higher education and of financial health post-graduation. The U.S. is at a turning point today in higher education policy. Indeed, today's debate about student loans and the viability and advisability of our current financial aid system reflects serious doubt about whether, in the aftermath of the Great Recession, a college education is actually a path to an attainable American dream. Stagnant wages, rising college costs, and economic pressures intensified through economic globalization have called into question the supposed axiom that subsequent generations of Americans would be more prosperous than previous ones. Over time, this may erode the belief in the link between opportunity, effort, and success, changing how Americans think about our economy and their future. These questions are urgent today for students contemplating the value of an increasingly expensive college education. Critically, there is evidence that education might not benefit everyone equally. In fact, it might actually be helping to maintain the status quo, since there is a correlation between parents and children's education levels, which suggests education may channel youth into the same social class as their parents. Economic mobility is less common than we like to think. 54% of adult children with parents in the top income quintile make it into the top income quintile themselves, compared to 19% of adult children from the bottom income quintile. Still, college degree holders enjoy greater intergenerational mobility than those with less education. Thus, ensuring equal opportunity to achieve a college degree is critically important, but here too, patterns of disadvantage and relative privilege are perpetuated. Students' likelihood of academic success varies according to parental education levels, and increasingly college cost burdens threaten to push more lower-income students off this ladder of progress. Building Expectations, Delivering Results brings together a wide body of research on the state of college access in the United States, re-examining the systems that facilitate or impede access to higher education and the effects of that education once delivered. Critically to our nation's financial aid debate, the report explores whether student loans, which were designed for the purpose of making college more accessible, can actually help to level the playing field, and whether asset-based strategies such as a CSA can extend beyond children's ability to access college to improve success in college and after. Self-efficacy and the effects of expectations on individual behavior are grounded in decades of research. However, when it comes to influencing how children see themselves in the world, institutional efficacy, what we understand as children's perceptions of institutional facilitation of students' college-bound expectations, may be at least as important. Children need consistent and supportive relationships with the formal institutions they encounter in order to succeed. Many formal institutions encountered by low-income children are not supportive. However, and children quickly learn that they must expend a great deal of effort to achieve minimal outcomes. One of the institutions that may be playing a less than optimal role in facilitating the educational aspirations of low-income students is the financial aid system. Student loans are seen as a sort of down payment on the American dream, a necessary price to pay for access to human capital that opens doors to more promising opportunities. From this perspective, all that matters is that the student who goes to medical school, for example, is better off, ultimately, than if she did not. But this borrowing may have real costs for students' financial health. Additionally, the system's default to borrowing as the vehicle to finance higher education may serve to discourage some groups of potential students from enrolling in college at all, thus blocking educational progress rather than facilitating it. Put another way, outstanding student debt actually may magnify the effects of inequality already in the system. If student debt puts one medical student at a disadvantage in comparison to another who does not have student debt, the financial aid system cannot be said to be adequately facilitating the educational progress of American children. Changes in federal and state policies in recent years have reflected the ideology that education is primarily a commodity purchased by individual students who then reap its rewards. Today, 40% of all households headed by an individual younger than age 35 have outstanding student debt. The percentage of undergraduate students who took out federal loans increased from 23% in 2001-2002 and 35% in 2011-2012. The average outstanding student loan debt in 2007 was $23,349, and it rose to $26,683 by 2010. And these cost burdens do not affect all students and families equally. For example, over half of the cost of college for high-income students is paid for through family contributions, compared to only 25% among low-income students. The shifts in the financial aid system away from societal responsibility and towards students and family responsibility may make college appear out of reach to lower-income students, particularly those who may be reluctant to take on large student debt burdens. There is evidence as well that cost burdens may serve to funnel disadvantaged students to less expensive and less selective institutions. Even though those schools may not be able to deliver the same educational outcomes or return on investment as the schools more advantaged students attend. Over time, these enrollment patterns could exacerbate the educational attainment gaps between wealthier and poorer students. Since reduced college enrollment from a given community will also sever some of the information ties that can facilitate access to college, that would mean, of course, that current financial aid patterns could be eroding educational power to equalize opportunities and outcomes. Perhaps even more important than enrollment patterns, however, are questions about whether the way in which students pay for college impact their educational experiences once in college, particularly given that it is the accumulation of knowledge leading to a college degree that is surmised to be the most critical piece of education for the purpose of equalization. In this respect, research suggests that after a certain level, student loans might not increase enrollment and graduation rates. In fact, larger amounts of student loans may be counterproductive. There is evidence to suggest that for maximizing graduation rates and reducing negative effects on post-graduation financial security, the right amount of loans for undergraduates might be about $10,000. Education's role as an equalizer extends beyond opportunity for individuals to attend and graduate from college to their ability to achieve financial self-sufficiency and move into or remain in the middle class. Unfortunately, student loan debt often is a serious impediment to this final goal. The U.S. Department of Education finds that the national two-year student loan default rate was 9.1% in 2010. Not surprisingly, students from higher income households are less likely to be to default, as are students with smaller amounts of debt. In total, nearly 41% of borrowers suffered the negative consequences of delinquency or default, and these consequences extend to students' families, as parents co-sign on loans, and to the society as a whole. High percentages of students either becoming delinquent or defaulting have led some to speculate whether student loans represent the next financial crisis for America. But even outstanding student loan debt in good standing may negatively affect households' financial health. Students with outstanding student loans may delay significant asset purchases, such as a house and a car, due to credit constraints. They may even delay marriage and have reduced earnings. Elliott III found that median net worth in 2009 for households without outstanding student loan debt is nearly 3 times higher than it is for households with outstanding student loans. $117,250,000 versus $42,800 respectively. Households with student loans accumulate far less wealth post-college than households without student loans, even when they have both attained the same level of higher education. This pattern remains after controlling for other demographic factors. Outstanding student loans are associated with lower net worth. The effects of student loans on long-term financial health appear to be more severe for low-income households than high-income households. While households at the 15th percentile of net worth in 2007 with outstanding student debt lost less net worth than their similar households at the 50th percentile from 2007 to 2009, the loss for the 15th percentile represents a 285% of their net worth in 2009, whereas it only represents 54% for the 50th percentile. In addition, higher amounts of debt result in greater net worth losses. If student loans reduce the ability of the education path to serve as an equalizer in American society, restoring this vision may require rethinking how students gain access to higher education that is supposed to be the gateway. To this end, evidence suggests that loans combined with grants or scholarships might be a more effective strategy than loans by themselves. However, due to fiscal constraints and the personal responsibility framing of higher education, there might be little political support to increase the number of scholarships and grants available. Instead, there may be a need for an innovation in financial aid that combines loans and CSAs. Unlike basic savings accounts, CSAs leverage investments by individuals and families to allocate intellectual and material resources to low and moderate income children. CSAs align with the ideal of personal responsibility because they require students and their families to help pay for college by saving. However, unlike the current approach, which often forces students and families to take on higher dollar debt in order to fulfill their college cost obligations, CSAs promise some significant benefits to children before, during, and following college. Confronting the gap in educational attainment has never been more important. As American college graduates encounter an increasing globalized economy, U.S. higher education policies need to go beyond focusing on how to increase college enrollment and graduation. We must turn to enhancing opportunities for students to increase their self-efficacy and expectations related to educational achievement, and for their families to prepare in advance financially for college. We also must consider whether our policies place college graduates in a strong position to succeed financially as young adults. Asset building strategies may be a way to make progress on all of these goals and maximize the benefits of going to college. Having assets may help reduce the debt burden on students and their families, and thus increase the value of college education. In addition, if family savings correlate with better student engagement at an early age, saving may allow them to take a full advantage of primary and secondary education and position them for greater college achievement. Finally, if having savings as a child is associated with higher rates of saving in a more diversified asset portfolio throughout adulthood, children may be more likely as adults to maximize the financial benefit of having a college degree. If one financial aid model, our current loan-based model, helps children pay for college only when they reach college age, while another, a hybrid loan and asset-based model, has the potential for multiple positive effects beyond paying for college, the better investment becomes obvious.